Professor, no worries, it's recording already. Anything I will, okay. Okay, so great. Welcome everybody. So we are waiting for maybe about a minute or two for people to come in. There are quite a number of people that were already 60 plus who have already logged on. So that's good. Okay. Thank you everybody for being on time for today's webinar. Okay, so great, we've got 70 people so far. Okay. Okay.
So there is a message here.
Okay. Yep. So I've just sent over a message to everyone, sharing that we are about to start soon. Yeah, because waiting for a few to enter. Okay, great. So we have about 70 plus attendees so far. There should be more that will be coming in as and when we have this webinar. So that will be great. Okay. All right. Without further ado, since it's great that most of them were all on time as well. Thank you so much for everyone for coming on time. So as we all know, we're here today because of the webinar, and also because in recent times we've faced many unprecedented disruptive events such as the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, and inevitably it impacted many businesses across various industries globally in one way or another. So today we're very honored to invite an esteemed guest speaker, Professor Sattar Bawany, to offer us insights to understand the key impacts, the challenges of disruption caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. But most importantly, our guest speaker today, he will offer us solutions on how businesses can navigate through these challenges successfully in the present and also in the future. So allow me to introduce our professor for today. So our guest speaker for today is the Chief Executive Officer of the Center of Executive Education, CEE, and the Disruptive Leadership Institute, DLI, based out of Singapore. He's also concurrently the Managing Director, as well as a Certified C-Suite Master Executive Coach and Facilitator with Executive Development Associates EDA in the Asia Pacific. So Professor Bawany was also awarded the 2019 Best Executive of the Year Human Resources Consulting at the Singapore Business Review Management Excellence Awards in 2019. Oh, there's an echo, is it? Okay. So sorry about it. Let me speak closer to my Yep, thank you so much. Thank you so much for bringing that up. So sorry about that. Yep, as I was sharing as well, he has over 30 years of international business management experience, including 20 years in executive coaching. Sorry about that. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for bringing it up. Yep, so he has over 30 years of international business management experience, including 20 years in executive coaching, group facilitation and leadership development and training with global management consulting firms. In addition to this, to his business and consulting career, Professor Bawany has also over 20 years of concurrent academic experience as adjunct professor, teaching senior executives international business strategies and human resource courses at various leading universities. So he's also an accomplished author, and his first book on transforming next-gen leaders, meeting the leadership challenges in the era of the fourth industrial revolution, Industry 4.0, published by Business Expert Press, New York, is well received globally. And he also wrote a book recently on leadership in disruptive times, and was also published by Business Expert Press, released on the 30th of July, just recently this year. This book focuses on navigating the organizational challenges following the aftermath of the unprecedented global COVID-19 crisis, by providing organizations with the relevant tools, frameworks, and best practice approaches to develop and map their digital transformation journey in today's highly disruptive, increasingly volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, basically VUCA, and the digital-driven era of the fourth industrial revolution, or better known as Industry 4.0. So both of these books have been endorsed by leading global thought leaders and business practitioners, including Dr. Marshall Goldsmith, and also, also best-selling author of Triggers, Mojo, and What Got You Here Won't Get You There as well. Thinkers 50, the first #1 executive coach and the only two-time #1 leadership thinker in the world. So as I've shared more about Professor today, without further ado, please join me to welcome Professor Sattar Bawany to lead us through today's keynote session on leadership in disruptive times. So Professor, please.
Thank you, Carmen. Thank you very much. A very good afternoon to everyone. Thanks to BB and thanks to Leslie for your feedback. I hope it's very clear. Can you hear me well, BB, Leslie? Yeah. And first of all, I'd like to thank all of you for taking this afternoon off to listen to this sharing for the first time that I'm going to do this worldwide. This is a series of webinar, thought leadership sharing, best practice sharing that I'm going to do every week and worldwide. And today is the first time I'm doing it in Singapore, and next week we are doing another one for the Rotary Club of Singapore and thereafter. Now, thank you again, to Aventis for hosting this event and inviting many of their corporate clients and their alumni, MBA and master's program graduates to attend this program. And I've been associated with Aventis since it started more than 20 years ago. And the founder, Samuel Teo, is a good friend. And when he invited me to do this, and I said, why not? And I really appreciate Aventis for doing this. Now, let me just start by sharing you now the slide. I hope you can see this slide. The title of today's session is about leadership in disruptive times, and this is the title of the book. Over the last 6 years, I would say 6 years, since 2014, 2015, the digital transformation has moved into a very I would say slow pace until COVID-19 arrives, early this year. Of course, it was reported to WHO on the 31st of December last year by the Chinese government to the WHO office in China. But as you know, the pandemic has created, and I'll talk a little bit about that, and the word has been used again and again, unprecedented challenges, is unprecedented impact, the disruptive impact on lives, on jobs, on businesses, on families, societies, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. So I was approached by my publisher, Business Expert Press, in January, when Wuhan locked down on the 23rd of January this year, about writing about the impact, because I've been reading research about a digital disruption, which was published in last year, my first book, Transforming Next Generation Leader in the Digital Revolution or Fourth Industrial Revolution. So the publisher said, look, why not you looking at, hey, this potentially, and this is my, I must say the founder, Mr. Lee, totally of iGroup, who's also the group chairman of the BEP, the publisher was very spot on. He looking at, look, this could be a massive disruption. He's a very visionary guy. So he told me, over dinner, like, why not you look into this? So I took out the challenge, and that was in January, February. And that time we do not know. We do not know, a lot of things we do not know about the pandemic. And I've been doing research for the last 4 months. Until the last day my book was published. The book is one of the most recent. It was published, launched on the 30th of July until the 15th of July. And it was, I keep on, and my publisher was a little bit, the copy editor and the production editor was a bit, upset with me because I keep on adding in the latest information about the pandemic, what's happening, and I think it's really becoming, and I believe it's going to become the worst, the most disruptive, devastating impact pandemic on the economy globally in our mankind. I mean, this is not about Great Depression. It's going to be worse than the Great Depression based on my research, and I publish it. And I think we must be prepared. As leaders, we must be prepared to look and ask ourselves, what are we going to do to help our organization to get out of this very challenging times? And I believe this is the time now for leaders to demonstrate, truly, are you a real leader who's able to develop concrete strategies for you? And this is not only for business, this applies to government. And one of the things that I published recently, and in my social media, I talk about the word, the COVID-19 or the pandemic, is unprecedented. This is unprecedented time being used by politicians worldwide. Europe, America, Africa, India, Asia, Singapore, Malaysia, everywhere in the world, we hear the same old cliche that this is unprecedented time. In my view, many times when these politicians and when leaders talk about that, because they do not have an idea. They do not have an idea, and I don't blame them. This is very, very important. I do not blame many of the leaders because there's no playbook. No playbook, you cannot rely. When someone says, oh, we have gone through SARS, we have gone through the Asian financial crisis, we've gone through September 11, we've gone through the dot-com bust, therefore we can rely on the past strategies to get us out. Rubbish. It's not. This pandemic, as Bill Gates has predicted in 2015 in my book, I talk about the impact. And Bill Gates was very astute. In 2015, in a TED Talk, he talked about, of course, he was talking about, from Africa, Ebola, at that time it's a grave threat. The bird flu. The bird flu was much worse. And thank God the bird flu was contained, because the bird flu could be far much more worse, devastating impact on economy if it has not been contained. And but this time round is very different. SARS was contained in China and some parts of Southeast Asia, Hong Kong, Taiwan. But this pandemic is totally different. No nation in the world, no nation that I know, except maybe smaller island nations, smaller Pacific islands, who are not affected by the pandemic. So let me, I think just to very quickly give you my where I coming from. Over the last 30 years, my work with organizations looking at leadership effectiveness, my previous appointment with Mercer, Human Resources, a global consulting firm, with Hay Group, another global consulting firm, with DBN, and now with EDA, and of course DLI, Disruptive Leadership Institute. And of course, prior to that, I was in healthcare, with an organization called Carl Zeiss Healthcare Division. I was a line manager. I was involved in HR operations, marketing, and I was also doing pharmaceutical very much earlier, late 70s, early 80s. So that tell you my age, how long ago was that? Now, but what is interesting, I look at the last 15 years, the evolution, the technological revolution in the fourth industrial revolution. And in my book, I talk a lot about that, the shift from first industrial revolution to the fourth industrial revolution, from the water and steam, the first industrial revolution to second revolution, talking about electricity, the third revolution, talking about using computing power, and the fourth industrial revolution that we are in today, looking at internet, which is transforming organization. On how do you transform organization using the digital revolution and integration of IoT, iOS, blockchain, AI, machine learning, you name it, all these terms all are coming together, a confluence of the digital technologies that's transforming organization ability to be able to deliver value for the customer. So today, we are talking about a lot of things that has been put in place by organizations, but at a slower pace prior to COVID-19. So what happened is, since February, March, as we see lockdown happening worldwide, as we see organizations trying to look at how to keep their employees safe, how to ensure sustainability, suddenly the word disruption comes in, and the disruptive impact of COVID-19. Is it new? No, it's nothing new. It's been around for a very long time, and I'll talk about some examples that we have faced in the 80s, in the 70s and 80s. There's nothing really new of what we are facing. But what is new, the impact at all levels of operation, at all aspects of the business, that is new. That has never happened before to the extent that what we are seeing today. So what are we going to do? So first we need to, I'm going to ask you now, all of you, to think of a word. Let me just do a quick poll. When we talk about disruption, okay, what comes to mind? So you have a toolbox there, somewhere you see the chat. There's a chat box. Can you type one word, just one word, please, not the center. I know some of you there, I look at all my friends who are in there. You know, some of you, I know you that you probably will give me sentence of, sentence of that. So just give me one word, please. There are over 100 people who are attending this session. Quite a number of you that I'm looking at the names, all my contacts all over Asia Pacific. So thank you for joining. Yeah. So, okay. So let me see. Some of you have given now creative, okay, chaos, innovation. Innovation seems to come up quite a lot. Cecilia mentioned bad weather. I love it. When she talk about awesomeness, okay. What else? Let me see. Who else come up? Adele says change. Edwin, change. Uncertainty. We can't. Christopher, opportunity. That's interesting, and I'll talk about that. We can't. You are right, because we talk about disruption can be a crisis and can also be an opportunity. Yeah, in the Chinese, as you probably all of you know, the Chinese word Wei Xian. Wei Xian from Wei Xian. What is the Qi Hui, and I can't remember the Chinese. There's a Chinese very interesting Wei Xian. With a combination of two, the crisis and opportunity, and I think it's very important for us to see from two perspectives. And I see a lot of chaos, a lot of useful chaos, digital. That's interesting. Annalisa, welcome. Trouble, yeah. And Suchi says growing. Well, that's interesting. Grow. Janet talk about creative. Wow, okay. And give. Talk about opportunities. And Clara, wow, welcome Clara. Talk about challenges. Charlene, Tofia, and my Mike Wells said interruption. And a lot of you talk about similar, about changes, fear, and somebody mentioned very interesting, abnormal. Doris, that's interesting, abnormal. Wei Qi, yeah, that's the word. Adrian, thank you very much, Adrian. Wei Qi, Wei Xian and Qi Hui. Wei Xian and Qi Hui. So total is the word is called Wei Qi. In Chinese word means that in every crisis there's an opportunity. So that's interesting. So if you look at the disruption, the COVID-19, the digital revolution, there are a lot of opportunity. The question is, what do we do about it? How are you going to tap? How are we going to take advantage of it? That is the challenge that we all face. Yeah. So thanks for all your contribution. So now let me now go into the definition. If you look at the definition by Cambridge Dictionary, and it's very simple definition, and the definition says that disruption is the action of completely changing the traditional way that industry or market operate by using new methods of technology. Now, the Cambridge is way more advanced. They use the word technology, because over the last 10 years, they redefined. This is from a business perspective. Okay. So interestingly, so an action of completely changing the traditional way. And COVID-19 and the digital revolution both have changed the way we deliver value to our customer, the way we operate. And we have to change. We cannot afford not to, because it affects our survival of the organization, and a lot of companies are not going to make it, especially those SMEs, smaller organizations, which even before COVID, they do not have a viable business model, an operating model, and they are struggling. And we can see that coming because when in a lot of countries in the world, when the fiscal measures, the support measures by the government in the respective country, including Singapore, when this funding dries up, and you see by early next year, there'll be a lot of companies is going to fall out. And this will impact the number of, the retrenchment numbers, the massive unemployment and so forth. So what do we need to do to protect jobs? What can we do now to help our companies to survive? So let me now go into this, the definition. So we talk about disruption. I will talk now about disruptive innovation. Clayton Christensen, who just passed away earlier this year, and Clayton Christensen is a marvelous, is a thought leader. I tell you one of his talk, is a great mind of our time from Harvard Business School. And he defined disruptive innovation in his book called The Innovator's Dilemma in 1997. He says that disruptive innovation is a process by which a product or service takes root initially in simple application, very simple application. Then they move up the value chain, and then they move up market and replace the entrenched established competitors. Let me give you an example. It's not new. A good example back in early 90s, well, mid-90s probably, mid-90s is Dell. Yeah, Dell is a good example. If you look at Dell, back then the PC market, back in the 80s, IBM dominated, and when IBM, the licensing, and so there's a lot of clone at that time from Taiwan, the US, Taiwan, and so forth. And Dell leveraged on the internet revolution. If you remember back in '95, when those days, those of you are maybe my age or the Gen X probably will remember this, the war of the browser between Netscape and Internet Explorer. When Microsoft launched Windows 95, they put in the IE, first version of IE, and that was the rest is history. And you look at the internet took off, and I was back in the Bay Area at the time, and what's interesting, that internet revolution. Michael Dell is a visionary. Michael Dell, the founder of Dell Computer in Texas, so decided to use the internet and offer something that disrupt the whole PC market for the first time. Introduce a concept called the mass customization, allowing organizations to be allowing both B2B organizations and also consumers to customize PC to suit your personal preference, and you order online, removing the middleman, removing the retailer. Yeah? So that was a very a direct marketing model. So that is a disruptive innovation by Dell. And of course, over the years, things have changed. You see a lot of things have changed. And Dell is not longer, I would say, a leader anymore. But you see a lot of other PC. You have Acer, you have LG now, you have Hewlett-Packard and others coming in. But there's no more, you don't see any new disruptive innovation in PC. Of course, now with cloud computing, Amazon, Google has overtake many of this. They are the prime mover. Amazon is in everything. Google is in everything. So it's Alibaba and so forth. So these are new players that you see, and I'll talk about that in a short while. Clayton says something very interesting. He says that why do all these big companies, they are very difficult in terms of trying to reinvent themselves. Why do Alibaba is able to transform itself to be able to provide from a platform economy by giving, of course, Alibaba is a good example, where they're using technology to be able to offer a value to the consumer, C2C, consumer to consumer, and of course, they compete with Amazon to a certain extent. But if you look at other examples, how the disruption that Uber, Grab, which I will talk about later, has transformed in, of course, Uber disrupt the taxis industry. And then Grab disrupt Uber in Asia when Uber came in, and Uber sold to Didi in China, and then in Southeast Asia sold to Grab. And you see the disruptor being disrupted by a more younger, a more newer, player. Then you look at Netflix and broadcaster, same thing. And Netflix, is able to transform and disrupt broadcaster using algorithm, using the digital revolution in understanding the individual consumer. When you're on Netflix, what do you do? When you're on, they will tell you, okay, you may like this, since you watched this movie, or you watch, Suits, or this another, or you watch the, maybe, I don't know whatever the latest, movie about drug or whatever. Then you tell you, okay, this is a new series you may want to watch. For example, recently I watched this very good movie. I think most of you know, Blacklist. I've been following that, and then they will tell me these are other movies, and it's interesting. So they know, they study, they know what your preferences and all that. They personalize it. So that using technology, the algorithm that they use to provide that value, and of course the one I will talk about later about DBS Bank, and how DBS from a traditional bank has transformed to become the world's best digital bank. And I will tell you the story of Piyush Gupta and how he did it and what happened in DBS Bank. So let me just talk about COVID a little bit, because this is something is ongoing right now. We need to address this because it's not going to go away anytime soon. In my research and my work, and I've interacted with WHO, talking to also the CDC in US and friends who are in the NICD and many other organizations that do research in the UK, in India, and I read a lot, because this is part of my work, trying to understand the impact of COVID-19. As I said, we all have seen it firsthand. When I started working on this, in January, February, it was still very new. And there's so much thing every day I learn. Every single day, I have about 30, 40 reports that I subscribe that will tell me about what's happening, the impact to jobs, into the market, into the vaccine. And recently you heard what Putin, the Russian president, talk about. Oh, we have a vaccine and we're ready to launch. And the question is, vaccine doesn't save people. It's very important to remember the vaccine does not save COVID-19 patients. Vaccination does. But the process from vaccine to have a vaccine that is been going through the 3 stage of clinical trial and going through the vaccination process. Now it takes some time. And question is, to what extent, how effective it's going to be, we don't know. And the other challenge about the volatility, the uncertainty, and in my chapter 3 of my book, I talk about the disruptive impact of COVID-19, as you can see at the bottom there. There are 3 chapters on COVID in my book, of 10 chapters, 3 chapters on COVID about the disruptive impact. And one of the things that we need to understand, the VUCA about COVID-19, besides the volatility, is rapid increase. It's so rapid. Today, I think yesterday, WHO have announced that, I think Johns Hopkins announced first 2 days ago, the worldwide number of patients being infected with COVID-19 has reached 20 million. When I last published the book, 1st July, this is interesting, interesting, you can check on WHO website. Phenomenal. 1st July of this year, a month, about 6 weeks ago, it was 10 million. Within 6 weeks, it doubled. That is the extent of the volatility of the COVID-19. And it's going to get worse, because look at what's happening to India, Brazil, Italy, which now being in control, but we don't know. Look at New Zealand the last 2 days, what's happening? Well, for 100 days, no community spreading until just 2 days ago. In Auckland, they have 1 case, and they're trying to find out where's the origin. Could be in a warehouse. They try to and I will talk about leadership. Jacinda Ardern, one of the great leader of our one of the great women, not only women, I think she is one of the best political leader, period. And I'll talk about that, about the quality related to competency. What made her so great? And uncertainty. So VUCA is a term used in the military back in the 80s in the warfare between America and the Cold War between America and Russia. I don't have time to go into that. You can get the book, you can read up, or go to my website. But I'm going to talk about COVID-19, the volatility. I talk about the numbers. The uncertainty is that we do not know. You do not know how long this will last. No one can predict. Even Dr. Fauci in the US, the world leading expert, doesn't know. Nobody knows. There's the extent of uncertainty. To what extent it will impact our business? To what extent it will impact life? Complexity, the DNA, where the scientists are trying to understand the evolution from SARS. If you look at the genetic, the name of COVID-19 is nCoV-2. nCoV-2 basically means that is from SARS. Its origin similar to SARS. What we call it, the SARS virus. So they are trying to understand when are we going to see this is interesting, the mutation of the virus. If the virus could mutate in a way, it would affect the vaccine, because it may not, all the effort in developing the vaccine may not necessarily work. It depends on to what extent the vaccination. I'm sorry, to what extent the mutation of the virus, the SARS nCoV-2 or the COVID-19 virus is going to make things much more difficult. That is the what I call the uncertainty. Now, what is the complex? The complex here is the impact, the impact, the unknown, and the complexity in terms of how the the virus has affected every part of business, from supply chain, break up supply chain, it disrupt family jobs in society. It's very complex. So we do not know enough. We cannot rely on the playbook of the past. If anyone tell you, oh, we have experience, in Taiwan or in Singapore, Hong Kong, China, we have look at Chinese. There's so much experience in SARS, and yet they struggle. And I think many people may not agree with me, but I think the Chinese government, and I congratulate President Xi Jinping and the Chinese government, when they locked down Wuhan, it was very tough. And they did the right thing. But of course, I'm not sure whether you can do the same thing in other countries, especially in the US and all that. There'll be revolt. People will revolt. But they did that. And we are better for it, for what the Chinese government did. And lastly, this is another interesting, ambiguous. There's a lot of, a lot of conspiracy theory. Where is the origin of the virus? Where does it come from? Yeah, this is the challenge that we face. Okay, is it from the Wuhan seafood market, or is it brought in from the US military? Is a warfare, germ warfare, or the Chinese created it, or is it an accident? And it's like, based on my research, reading a lot of reports, it's very likely it could be based on the looking at all the report, all the scientific data. It could be potentially an accident that has happened in the Wuhan lab, which is level 4 lab, which the bio lab, which could have, I said potentially that could be one of the explanation of the origin of the virus. But again, a lot of things we do not know. Now, so this one in my book, so I talk about two disruptions. One, I talk about COVID-19, which a lot of you probably see every day. Sometimes we see so much. One of my students told me, Prof, we are hearing too much and become, immune. He said, look, enough, we are CNN every single day. Like CNA, every day will be COVID update. But we have to keep ourselves, as leaders, we need to keep ourselves abreast. Okay, enough of COVID. So there are 3 chapters about that. You can read. Now I'm going to talk about something which is much more important, because after COVID, the post-COVID era. The post-COVID era is going to be about the disruptive force of the digitalization or digital revolution, which started before COVID, but at a slower pace. But because of COVID, because of the social distancing, work from home, because of many measures that we put in place to protect lives, employee, customers, and technology play a part. By now, everybody, like Zoom becoming a verb. Zoom, let's Zoom, let's have a Zoom meeting, let's do Zoom. Zoom becoming a very interesting, everybody talk about Zoom. And this is going to become the way of life. We work from home. Now we realize we don't have to go to work. It's very likely in the next 2-3 years, and this virus, this thing is not going to go away. And I don't think we're going to, the pre-COVID days will take us 2 to 3 years, depending on the maturity of the economy. And then we have to be prepared for the recession, global recession, to be around 2 to 3 years, or even longer, possibly, depending on how the virus evolves. But nevertheless, the digital revolution is going to stay. We need to understand the forces. How can we leverage? And you look at some of the companies that we know, Uber, Airbnb, on my slide here, Skype, Alibaba, Facebook, Society One, banking, Netflix, or Apple, Google, all this company has transformed successfully. And I will talk about, in my book, I talk about 5 companies: DBS, Microsoft, Netflix, Starbucks, and Uber and Grab as one, but they are competing against one another. And I'll talk about all these 5 companies in a short, but worldwide, we see all these companies I'm showing you now has been able to leverage on the digital technology. McKinsey, this is a very interesting, and I advise you all to read. Please go, and there's a link there. Go to mckinsey.com and just type 12 disruptive technology. In 2013, about 7 years ago, McKinsey did a research worldwide and looked at what are some of the disruptive technology. And this was, and today some of them already becoming a reality, like mobile internet or cloud, advanced robotics used in manufacturing, autonomous or near autonomous vehicle, which Google with Tesla is already happening. Right? Next generation genomics is already happening, even in Singapore in cancer research and so forth. Energy storage not yet fully. 3D printing is happening already. Advanced material, oil and gas recovery, renewable energy is gaining pace. Shell, ExxonMobil is embarking on that. But if you look at 7 years ago, when McKinsey talking about this, and the interesting thing is that a lot of people thought, really, what does it mean? What do we do? And this is going to disrupt our business, all our businesses. And this is going to continue. And McKinsey estimated about value, the economic value that they provide by all this industry, going to be about 33 trillion. And I think it's going to be much more. Because the technology revolution, the disruption is going to continue at a faster pace. So in my book, and in my summary, so when in my opening remark, I said that looking at all these challenges, and I've studied, as I said, since my first book published last year, and it's a continuation since first started 2016, 2016. And then I published my first research in last year, 3 years later. And then since then, I've been doing research about the digital revolution until COVID-19 came in, and I paused, I focused on COVID-19. So what I've found is that a lot of companies are struggling. They understand. It's what we call the knowing doing gap. Most of them know the impact. Knowing, but they don't know what to do. And this is the biggest challenge, knowing doing gap. So a lot of them know, yeah, we know, Prof, I know this is important. We know we need to do something about it. But the question is, how do I do it? What do I do? There's a lack of sense of urgency until now that they need to reinvent their operation. So how do you do that? First and foremost, I'm going to ask you now, second time, put in your chat box, I'm going to introduce the concept called Leadership 4.0 in relation to leading in Industry 4.0. And I'll explain that in a short while. But I want you to just give me one word again. What do you think is leadership? Or a few words, maybe. But what is Leadership 4.0? Again, please go into your chat box and give me some insights. Okay, art and wisdom, agility, okay, innovative, adaptability, very good. Edwin, thank you. Vincent, wow, humility. I love what Vincent says, humility and collaboration. Vincent, thank you. That's excellent. Annalisa, innovative leadership, fantastic. Who else? Sabrina said wisdom. Christopher said communication. Vivo, revolutionary. Mike said agility. Steve, adapting. Wonderful. Okay, who else? Come on. Christopher. Doris, digital literacy. Excellent. Diana, future advancement. Clara, again, Clara, wonderful. Resilience, authenticity, flexibility, wonderful. Liana, diversified. Suchi, EQ, IQ, yes. All of you are spot on. Sense making, very good. Hatsui says sense making. I love Hilda. Hilda said empathy, and I'll talk about that. Very important empathy. Very, very important in the leadership 4.0. And extraordinary. What else? Come on, guys. What else? You have 106 of you. Come on, engaging. Okay, I just one word. I'm not saying no one. Come on, whoever can get it right will have probably. I will spare 15 minutes of my time to coach you. Come on, get one word that I'm looking for. It's not there yet. Come on, come on. No, daring, wonderful, but not. Come on, coaching. No, Gina. No, disruptive. No, not leading ambiguity. Yes. So all these are nice. Yes, you're right. But I want looking for one word that will totally encapsulate what leaders is in the leadership 4.0 in the industry. Okay, Fauzia, I know you're my student, collective readiness. So Fauzia is one of my students. Some of you who are my student, you use that, but it's one thing is not. No. So if you have read the outline for the invite is there. Come on. None of you, that means you did not read the outline. Come on. Start with M. Is the D and M. Or actually it's DDM. Come on. I give you the hint already. DDM. Yeah. Gary, of course you put DDM, this is what I say. I want to know what does it mean. Disruptive, digital, what's M stand for? Come on, guys, whoever got it right, you can have 15 minutes of my time. Come on. Disruptive, digital, last word. M, what does M stand for? Yes, Doris, very good. Mindset or mentality. Zul, very good. So we are talking about disruptive digital mindset. So this is the thing that I spent a lot of time researching, trying to understand. What has happened is that we talk about the disruptive digital leader. So today, if you look at Piyush Gupta, if you look at people like Howard Schultz from what we call that, from this Starbucks, yeah. And what we have seen is that all these leaders have something which is interesting. Or even you look at Reed Hastings. I don't know how many of you heard of Reed Hastings from Netflix. Anthony Tan from Grab, or Kevin Johnson, the successor to Howard Schultz from Starbucks. What makes them interesting? If you look at all these leaders, the ability to demonstrate this disruptive mental agility, not easily found in many leaders. So what is it? So the best person, actually, I love, one of the greatest, I'm a big admirer of the guy on the left. You know who's that guy? Anyone? Who in the chat group? Do you know who's that guy? You need to know this guy. Anyone? The guy at the top with the globe behind. No, not Mayun. No, not the one at the bottom. I'm talking about the one on top. No, come on. If you know, you must know this guy. He's affecting almost most of our. We are using his. Yeah, I know it's from Microsoft. What is his name? He's CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella. Yeah, Satya Nadella is a phenomenal leader. You should read his book called Hit Refresh. One of the best books I've read in my lifetime. The best book about personal experience or what transformed his leadership style because of his personal tragedy and what makes him being able to transform Microsoft. The digital revolution, the digital transformation of Microsoft today to what it is because of him, not because of Bill Gates, not because of Steve Ballmer. The first CEO, Bill Gates, second CEO, Steve Ballmer. Bill Gates is more of a programming, more, from a designer, perspective, but and you look at his successor, Steve Ballmer is what we call a very good, commercial guy, can jump up and down the stage and trying to create, the salespeople. But the guy who really transformed the leadership and transformed Microsoft is Satya Nadella, the third CEO of Microsoft. And of course, the guy behind, you see another guy that I really respect a lot is Alibaba Jack Ma, and Howard Schultz on the right from Starbucks. So what makes this leader great? And also Piyush Gupta. Piyush Gupta, I'll talk about him later. What makes them great is that they are able to demonstrate these six skills: disruptive mentality, being innovation driven. They shift their mental model. They're able to challenge the mental model to be able to create this disruptive innovation we talked about earlier. And visionary entrepreneurs could, that creative thinking, and then cognitive readiness, how to use emotional social intelligence together with critical thinking, and of course resilience, your change agility, adaptability, and then empathy and social skill. Empathy is very important, and in Satya Nadella, in his book called the Hit Refresh, he talks about empathy being the most important leadership competency in driving innovation in Microsoft. Understanding the customer. In the digital revolution, the digital-driven organization is about customer obsession. It's about customer centricity. And you need to have empathy. Empathy is no longer touchy-feely, no longer all this stuff. No, because when you're dealing with, if you talk about digital revolution, you're deploying advanced robotics. You have a new term that you need to learn called cobot, not robot, cobot, C-O-B-O-T. In my book, I talk about cobot. And when you deal with cobot, you need to have that empathy. You need to be able to, and that's why robots do not have that. Of course, they're trying very hard to put in feeling, but you cannot replace that people feeling, that ability to have that empathy. And of course, driving for success. At the end of the day, business is all about results. Forget about everything else if you're not able to deliver results. And this is a fundamental. All business, not only business, any organization, whether government, non-profit, it's all about results. How do you transform your organization by leveraging on people, process, and technology to deliver your results? So these 6 competencies make up what we call the disruptive digital leadership competency. And for the future, you must, and this is again, a lot of organizational research we have done in my book. There are about 300, you can see 300 references of companies, papers that has been published and I've studied. As I said, I started this in 2016. It's not new. But over the last, I would say 6 months, I intensify and validate against research by many other organizations, looking at companies. And most of my C-suite clients, CEOs of globally organizations has gone through coaching and are validate with their own experience to look at what makes them great or what makes their global CEOs great and try to understand how different it is in each industry. Now, then we talk about how do you transform digital revolution? Okay, let me just very quickly, as I already mentioned a lot of this, DBS Bank, Microsoft, Netflix, Uber, Starbucks, Grab. So DBS Bank, Piyush Gupta, Satya Nadella, Microsoft, Reed Hastings, Netflix, Grab, Anthony Tan and the co-founder Tan Hui Ling, Starbucks founder Howard Schultz, and today is Kevin Johnson, the new CEO. And Uber, the original founder was Travis Kalanick. He was ousted for various reasons, and now the new CEO, Dara Khosrow Shahi, Iranian American, who's doing a great job in trying to transform Uber. Now, what makes them great? So they are now going to summarize you years of research into what we call the culture. Okay, customer centricity, innovative, data-driven decision-making, collaboration, open trust, partnership, disruptive mentality. I spent a lot of time talking about agility and flexibility. I talk about that. So what is the most important? The first one, customer centricity. That is the most important. You need to drive success in a digital-driven organization through understanding that everything you do has to be about a customer obsession. That's number one. How do you do that? Right in the middle, PPT. Focus on your people and develop the process and use technology to simplify the process to deliver value to your customer. Many companies fail in their digital transformation because they focus on the wrong thing. They put technology first. Technology is the easiest, the most simple aspect because that's the last thing you need to worry about. Focus, getting the right people, the right leader, will transform. And then in chapter 5 of my book, I talk about the whole chapter 5 is about, I would say about 50 pages of, talking about how this organization that I mentioned earlier has been able to do that. And the other thing interesting, like, then I look at the factors, key success factor, what makes this company great? So looking at Piyush Gupta, and there's a whole section about 25 pages about DBS Bank, about how DBS has been very successful. And I studied Piyush Gupta, and I worked with DBS as early as 2009 after the global financial crisis. And I was DBM then. And what happened is Piyush came in from Citi, and he has transformed. And he's a tough boss. Piyush is, and I have the honor of hosting him a couple of times, and I was the chairman of the AmCham, American Chamber, Human Capital Committee chair, and I do a lot of forums, and I invited Piyush. I get to know him personally. And it's a great leader who understands importance of talent. And he's a tough boss. Like many CEOs, they have a different style of leadership. But one thing about him, that he believes in people. He gets the best talent, and he leaves them to do the job. When he, in 20, and let me tell you a story. So when he came in 2009, he takes time. He went, this is an interesting story. You can Google it, and he talk about it whenever he was interviewed. He would talk about this. He went to the branch, POSB branch, and DBS owns POSB, another one of the subsidiary. And at that time, nobody knows him because he was new. So he went and queue up and interact with the customers, the depositors, and and understand what are the issues, what the problem firsthand, without telling. He did not inform any of his leadership team. He did not inform the branch. Nobody knows. He just went in there and did it for a few times. And he get firsthand. And this is what a leader is all about: going to the ground, understand, not sit in the ivory tower up there and not knowing what's happening on the ground. And he really listened. And this is when his trait. He's a tough boss, but he listened very well. And of course, when he came in then in 2009, and then what he did was he went to the board. He said, "Okay, we are going to do something that no one has done before." You look at Alibaba. Oh, look, this Tencent. These are all these companies in China. These are called platform companies. They are going to revolutionize the financial service industry. He's not worried about HSBC. He's not worried about Maybank or Malaysia. He's not worried about about ICICI, the Indian bank. All not worried about HSBC. He is worried about being disrupted by all these companies, platform Alibaba and Tencent, who offer financing to their customers. So, if we're going to take away DBS part of the business, and he decided we're not going to allow that. We're going to transform DBS to be the best digital bank. And true enough, for three years in a row, they won the award. And what is that? Because he has clarity of vision, number one, and the agenda. He wants what he needs to do. Number two, again, about customer. Three is about the structure. The structure follows the strategy. So always remember, you need to get the digital strategy right, and structure must allow the people to collaborate. Remove the silo mentality, remove all the obstacles. Fourth is about clarity of communication. What do we expect you guys to do? What he expect for his leadership team and his people. Fifth is about the data-driven. Everything they do using AI, using big data to understand, using predictive analytics to understand what are the consumer preferences and so forth. And they use a lot of that in-house. And lastly, of course, getting the right leader. Not only the leader, but the team that is driving the success. There is the digital transformation team, from the CIO, CTO, CXO, right down to the project director. Everyone hiring the best person, make them sure they fit for culture. They may have the skill. Now, this is very important. You can find a lot of people with the right skill, but you need to also make sure they fit into the culture of the organization, because otherwise you're not sustainable. So this is some of the findings that I found. Now, now with that note, I will now pause, and I will invite questions. So Carmen, can we let the audience have access to the mic or something? So I can hear the question. Carmen? Kaman, is a question been asked in the Q&A or, okay, let me see. One of my, okay, there's a two question here. Leslie, one of my millennial mentees says that he sees the word leaders, he think of management of big companies and corporation. Okay, that's interesting. Let me tell you something about leadership. I've been teaching leadership for 25 years. Leadership is not about title. Leadership is not about the title of CEO, MD, GM, director, manager. No. Leadership is anyone in the organization who's able to impact and influence other people to be able to get them to do things that they want to do. Anyone can become a leader, not necessarily the title, the CEO, GM, MD. No. I give an example. In times like this, in the COVID-19, we cannot wait instruction from head office. You cannot wait instruction from the CEO. If you care about your colleague, if you see something is not right, you need to take action. You take the action. Be proactive. That's what leadership is about. It's not about title. It's about ability to take action, being proactive, and get things done without being told what needs to be done. A leader is to me, a leader is defined as ability to impact and influence others to get things done the way you want it to be done or what you want to be done. It's not about title. So this is important. Second question is, what would you suggest for leaders or SME, religious group, organization do in coming of this horror? Okay. Okay, this is very interesting. How, first and foremost, be humble. Acknowledge that you do not have all the answers. Number one, Leslie, you need to ask yourself. The answers may lie with your younger folks, younger team, what we call reverse mentoring. Okay, reverse mentoring. So you need to go out, and this is an example. Let me give you a real example. Jack Welch, who passed away, I think last year. Jack, I'm great. I met Jack in New York many years. I would say, well, when I was with him, early 2000. Before he retired, and interesting. Jack Welch retired 7 days before September 11. So he was in 2000 when I was in New York. And attended a conference. And interesting, and I asked him, I remember one question I asked was, what is one leadership lesson you can share? He says that we as leaders need to understand that we do not have the answers and we may find it in the young. And he used the word reverse mentoring. But Jack Welch from GE, he is a legendary CEO. He has a PhD in plastics engineering. He is not a business graduate at that time. But what he did was he's very poor in finance. He acknowledged, I know I'm very poor in finance. And because as a CEO, there are two things you must be very good at. And this is my advice to all of you. If you're being a CEO, make sure you get the best money you can buy, the best CFO. Even though you're great in finance, but get the best CFO because we all have a blind spot. Second, get the best CHRO, get the best HR. And Jack used a term called quarterback. So you need to have a good CFO and good CHRO. And his CFO was younger than him. He was in the 40s when he took on early 40s. Then his CFO was in the mid 30s. He appointed the CFO as his mentor. We call it reverse mentoring. Normally mentoring is for the you work with somebody senior, more experienced, but this is a reverse mentoring. And he learned. And what he did was get this guy to share and help him to understand about finance. That's very important. So you need to acknowledge you may not have all the answers. So learn. And sometimes we need to depend on others. And this is the problem many leaders, both political leaders, both business leader, religious leader, and some even religious leader. And in your question, Leslie, you're right, even religious leader, sometimes they think they know everything. No one knows everything. You cannot know everything. No one knows, as a human being, it's not possible to know everything. So that's number one. So be humble, explore, learn from others, be open, collaborative, and acknowledge that all of us has this syndrome called the knowing doing gap. We know what we know, and we all have blind spot, the Johari. We know what we know, what we do not know what we do not know. Okay, now Clement asked a question, how do you get buy-in for the team? Now, in my chapter 9 of my book, I talk about the SCORE model, S-C-O-R-E. Clement, you can Google my website, S-C-O-R-E, SCORE model. It's about how do you influence the team. And by understanding each or individual team member, personality, psyche, come up with a team mantra, and then how do you bring them together through coaching, through collaboration, management coaching, having one-on-one conversations. So they are proven in my book. A lot of example framework we can use to because the chapter is on team number 9. It's about how we develop a high-performing digital transformation team, which based on the SCORE model, SCORE. Yeah. Now, Ilash Solan Mohan asks, how do you think learning and teaching in university should be in the new norm to adapt to disruptive scenario? I think this is a very good question. Universities are struggling. Many universities are going to have reduced enrollment, especially those who depend on Chinese students, because the Chinese government is preventing people from traveling. So a lot of universities are hampered. And you're going to see a lot of them going to scale down. Of course, those universities, big Ivy League universities, going to survive because they have a deep pocket, with the trustee fund, with the alumni to support them. But most universities are going to struggle. And therefore, what it means is that you're going to go back to the online model in a big way. So we can see that, and this is where you need to learn now. A lot of universities, and being an adjunct professor at various universities, talking to a lot of dean and vice chancellor, PVC, DVC, and they are struggling. It's a very tough time for those in the education industry. And we may see a lot of technology company. There's a great article in New York Times. I think it's in May. And in my book, I make a reference to that. In June. In June, there's a very good article about how technology companies is going in to partner with university and even trying to put funding and equity, try to own university. So this is going to be the future of education. Might ask a question: which country will emerge strongest in the economic impact of COVID-19? What has the leadership done right? It's still too early. Which country? I think we have seen as I mentioned, Jacinda Ardern from New Zealand for 100 days. Just unfortunate, just 2 years ago, and they were clear for 100 days, and they were about you need about 120 days. Before WHO 3 months straight. No community cases, but I think whether they will emerge strong, I think we can learn a lot from Jacinda Ardern from New Zealand, a great leader. Why? Because she has empathy, she communicates clearly, authentic leadership. This is where the Chinese government, even in the Wuhan virus, when the initial outbreak in Wuhan, there's a lot of talk about lack of transparency. But you look at Jacinda Ardern, the way she communicates, the way she answer questions, the way she deals with the media, that is a lot of empathy, communicate clearly, able to provide facts, conjecture, not like Trump. We all know about Trump. I don't have to go into that. In some other countries, even many countries, they are not able to be transparent. So I think Jacinda Ardern now. Which country will emerge strongest? I think Europe, probably some of the countries, Norwegian, some of the. I think a lot of things are still unknown. I cannot say for sure. But what we can do is to learn and evolve, and a lot of political leaders need to acknowledge. Even in Singapore, we just announced 2 days ago the worst economic performance in a quarter ever since independence, 55 years ago. So, and we're going to get worse before it gets better. How did the Singapore government leaders, political, the 4G leaders, we call it, are they performing? We have yet to see. We don't know. And I think we are waiting and watching every single move. Same thing in Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, and so forth. Okay, Gary has a question. Should a leader be a generalist or specialist? Wow, okay. I think both. We need to do both. See, a leader needs to understand 3 things. One, as I said, you need to be able to know about the business, of course, you're leading, about the industry, about the business, but you do not have to go, because, as a CEO or as a president or as a head of organization, you are responsible to run and drive success through your team. So you can have specialists who are performing the role, whether it's a CHRO, CIO, CIS, COO, all the head of functional head can do the job. Your job is not to be an operational CEO, but your job is to be able to help and provide support to your team so they can do their job. So I would say, in a way, you can be a generalist, probably, understand, then inspire people, always adopt the PPT. Always put your people before process and technology. A good example, I will give you a good example. This is this guy called Richard Branson. Richard Branson, every single year, he will publish in his annual report. He will say that, at Virgin, our philosophy or mantra is employee first, customer second, shareholder third. Listen very carefully, not the other way around. Employee first, customer second, shareholder third. What he believes that you always take care of the employee. If you take care of the employee, and then they can take care of the customers, and then the customers will come again and again, and then you will be able to get your result, your profitability. And in my book, I talk about RBL, result-based leadership. In my website, you can get a lot of articles. I publish a lot of free articles I publish. You can download. It's called RBL, result-based leadership. Always put your people first. Actually, I go one step. I go one step before people. I say, take care of yourself. You take care of yourself. Know your strength. Know your weaknesses. Know your competency that you need to develop. Lead. So it's about leading self, leading others, your team, and then lead the organization. So in that order, lead self, lead others, lead the organization. Okay. Then lastly, well, there's another anonymous attendee. Well, anonymous. Sometimes the visionary are young. They have to convince the BOD, okay, how to overcome this age gap. Okay, the question is, the visionary are young, how to convince? Okay, when you are young, the first impression is very important. And not only young, I mean, and all of us. So the first impression, when you want to go to a board or the senior management team, you must ensure, create a first impression, and be prepared, the Scout motto, be prepared. Younger leaders, younger executives need to do away at times with the mindset that they know everything as well. Because, really, and they are very impatient. If you look at the Gen Y, the good news is that the Gen Z or the digital natives, or those born between 1995 to 2010, they are much more pragmatic, easier to deal with compared to our Gen Y, which is born in 1980 to 94. So the good news is that you can find it a bit easier. So what you need to do, number one, be pragmatic. You need to be prepared. Understand who are you meeting. Know your audience. If you're talking about the senior management team or the BOD, board of directors, know them, speak their language. So you need to adapt your style, the communication, make the effort to prepare, know who they are, communicate them in the way that they want to be communicated. Okay, and that's it. So these are all. I hope I addressed all the questions. Okay, there's another. Okay, I think I've answered all. Okay, can you give more examples? Okay, Adele asked a question. Okay, you put it in the chat group, not the question. Okay, could you give more example of leaders who display empathy? What did you do to Chris? Okay, because I'm mindful of the time, Adele, but I can do it quickly. So as I said, Sattar Nadella is one. The other person that I think has been able to demonstrate empathy very well is, I said, Howard Schultz from Starbucks, who has a personal tragedy, just like Sattar Nadella has a tragedy with his son Zane, who was born, the wife was giving birth and there was some problem, and he suffered from cerebral palsy, and for life he was in a wheelchair. So that allowed him to be able to develop that empathy to, and for 3 years he was in a very, very difficult, blaming himself. So then in his book, he explained what happened. His wife told him to get over it. The wife got over it very quickly, but he took 3 years. And that's the sense of empathy. Now, the other person is Howard Schultz, because his father, when he was young, very young, his father is a truck driver, was involved in an accident, and the company did not provide health insurance. So Howard says that, look, when I started business, he wrote, in the biography, that he wants to make sure that everyone, his employee, would have coverage management. Even you are part-time, even you are a gig, you're providing, contracts, your contract staff providing part-time, whatever, they will provide medical. That is a great philosophy for how, and he was awarded, by President Clinton, for that philosophy and how he transformed Starbucks. And Howard is great the way he designed the flywheel system of Starbucks to use technology to deliver value for the Starbucks customers and all. It's a great story in my book. I explain it very detailed how to use that using the flywheel method. Yeah. So and there's many others, Okay, I Del, you can communicate to me. I don't want to take much time, so I just want to. I think that's all the question. So what I wanted to do is to end with two things. What I just shared with you, I've developed into a program under the Disruptive Leadership Institute. We have developed a series of programs. So you can go to the link there. You can go in. And there are a series of programs. Everything I explained, all case studies, all are practical case study on leadership, on team effectiveness, on digital transformation. And you can email us if you want to know more. Okay. So there's a series of programs for C-suite and middle managers. So there are two levels: C-suite, CEO and direct report, and the middle manager. And thirdly, for all of you, I have got the publisher to agree to extend a 30% discount if you want to get a book for only the webinar attendee. You can go to businessexpress.com, books, leadership in disruptive time. You can place the order there and you can put the code word BAW, which is Bawany, BAW 2020, and you'll be extended a 30% discount. Only for all of you who are attending this. And if you want, some of you have asked about sample chapters, one whole full chapter or chapter 1, and I've prepared, and you can download it from the, you can send an email or you can go to the website there, Disruptive Leadership Institute, put all your details, we will send to you. Or the easiest is go to the book website earlier, businessexpress.com. It's a link, you can download the book chapter. Okay. And lastly, the good news is that 3 days ago, the book has been endorsed, has been accepted as a core text for the Executive MBA in Digital Transformation, which is offered by IP in Paris, which is the international recognized qualification by the French government. It's a French government approved qualification. And very soon we're going to bring it online. The program is going to offer online for all MBA graduates. You're going to have an exciting time. If you have an MBA recognized degree, you can get another degree, this degree, by doing only 3 modules. Because and they recognized it, and the modules are based, a lot of research based on my work, and plus other researchers, other thought leaders in Europe. But my book is one of them that they have adopted. So you want to know more? Send me an email there, inquiry@ce-global.com. That's it. So what I would like to do now, that's it. I think all the social media, follow me on LinkedIn, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the social media. You can type Disruptive Leadership, you can find us. And also you can connect me personally on LinkedIn. My personal LinkedIn is Bawany, LinkedIn.com/Bawany. Then continue, and every week I'll update research about what's going on, COVID, update about digital revolution. Every week there will be articles, there will be research about what's happening, and so that we keep you updated. With that note, I want to say thank you so much for all of you. Let's continue the dialogue. Let's discuss. This is going to be about 2 to 3 years. This COVID, this digital revolution is going to be for a long haul. It will be exciting. As I said, I see this not just as crisis, but as an opportunity. We are living in a very interesting times. In the Chinese saying that, we are living in interesting times. And this is truly interesting because what we have learned, I've learned so much about the COVID-19, about the behavior of leaders, what organization, what government need to do. And I believe that we can learn a lot from each other. With that note, I want to say thank you so much. I will hand over back to Carmen from Aventis to wrap up. Carmen?
Yeah, thank you so much, Professor, for your very insightful sharing. And I believe everyone has benefited well from the session. There's been a lot of good engagement going on, questions asked, and Professor done a good job in answering all of them as well. So without further ado, we shall end the session. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Have a good evening. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. See you. So thank you, Aventis, for hosting this.
Yeah, no problem.
See all of you again online. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.